Darkness filled the sky of Vera, a small alien world with oceans like liquid glass and towers that once touched the clouds. The people of Vera were peaceful, their cities shining with soft light. But now, the heavens above were burning. Great warships covered the sky, each larger than mountains, their shadows drowning the planet below. Fire rained down as the invaders tore apart cities. The screams of millions echoed through the night. Inside a hidden shelter, an elder of Vera raised his trembling hands over a broken console. "Is anyone out there? We beg for help. Our world is falling. All hope is lost. Please, someone answer." The message, weak and full of despair, carried across the stars. For days, the galaxy listened. Other races, powerful and proud, heard the call, but none replied. Some whispered, "It is too late for them." Others said coldly, "Why risk our fleets for a doomed world?" The elder sank to the floor. His eyes were wet, his voice broken. "We are forgotten." High above, the invaders laughed. Their commander, a creature with 4 burning eyes and a voice like thunder, ordered, "Crush every city. Let this world be an example. None can resist us." Ships obeyed, raining destruction. Towers crumbled, the oceans boiled, the sky itself seemed to scream. But far away in the quiet system of Sul, a small blue planet received the desperate signal: Earth. In a command chamber deep under the Atlantic, a group of humans listened to the crackling voice of the alien elder. The message repeated, filled with hopeless cries. A young officer clenched his fists. "They're being slaughtered." Another whispered, "No one is helping them. No one dares." Silence hung heavy in the room. The leaders of Earth stared at the message. Their faces were pale, their eyes filled with quiet fire. One general broke the silence. "The others think we are weak. They believe we will stay silent." Another voice rose, steady and cold. "Then let us show them they are wrong." The officer looked up sharply. "Sir, are you saying—" "Yes," the general interrupted. "We will answer." Around the table, some gasped, others argued. "But if we intervene, the enemy will come for us. Earth will become their next target." The general's eyes burned with steel. "If we do nothing, we are already next. If we stand, we may yet change everything." The room went silent again. Then slowly, heads began to nod. The decision was made. Humanity would not remain silent. Across the planet, hidden bases stirred to life. Vast hangars opened as warships, unseen by the galaxy, prepared for launch. Massive engines thundered in. The dark, soldiers stood ready, their eyes burning with determination. In one hangar, a young pilot touched the wing of his fighter. His friend asked nervously, "Are you afraid?" The pilot smiled faintly. "Of course, but fear is what keeps us sharp. Fear means we still have something to fight for." "Do you think we can win?" his friend whispered. The pilot looked at the stars. "I don't know. But I know this, those people out there, they need us. If no one else will fight for them, then we must." Back on Vera, the skies grew darker. The invaders prepared to deliver the final blow, a weapon strong, enough to crack the planet's crust. The alien commander grinned cruelly. "End it, let their screams echo into nothing." But before the order was carried out, a faint signal touched the broken consoles of the dying world. A voice, calm yet fierce, spoke through the static. "This is Earth. We have heard your call." "You are not alone," the elder gasped, his old eyes wide with disbelief. "Humans! You would come for us?" The voice replied firmly, "We will not stand by and watch. Hold on. Help is coming." Hope flickered in the darkness for the first time. But in the galaxy's high councils, other races laughed bitterly. "Humans, they will be crushed like insects." "Let them try," another scoffed. "Their ships are weak. Their fleets are nothing compared to the armadas of the stars." Yet unknown to all, Earth had hidden its true power. For decades they had built in silence. For decades they had studied the stars, not just to explore, but to prepare. And now, when hope was lost, they would rise. The elder of Vera, surrounded by ruins and fire, closed his eyes as he heard the human voice again. Stay alive. Do not give in. The heavens themselves will tremble when humanity comes. Above him, the enemy's great weapon charged with light. The commander roared in triumph. End them! But deep in the void, far beyond the reach of their senses, engines ignited. Shadows moved. The silent fleets of Earth began their journey. Their weapons hidden, their purpose unshakable. The galaxy still thought humans weak, fragile, and afraid. They would soon learn the truth. For in the darkness, when all hope was lost, humanity was about to tear the heavens apart. The signal from Vera still echoed in the command halls of Earth. The words of despair had burned into every human ear. All hope is lost. Yet humanity had chosen to answer. Now, deep beneath the oceans and mountains of Earth, the real. Preparations began in a hidden facility under the Arctic ice. Heavy doors slid open. Inside, engineers worked day and night. Sparks flew from welding torches. Metal rang with every strike. Massive starships, their black hulls shining like shadows, rested in silence as crews tested their systems. A young mechanic wiped sweat from his face. "Do you really think these ships can face them?" he asked nervously. An older engineer gave a sharp smile. "These are not the ships the galaxy thinks we have. These are something different." Across the globe, similar facilities came alive. Factories built engines that hummed with strange energy. Scientists whispered of power drawn not just from fusion, but from secrets hidden in the fabric of space itself. In one underground chamber, a group of leaders stood around a glowing map of the galaxy. Red markers showed the enemy fleets. One elder statesman spoke in a heavy voice. "If we strike too soon, they will destroy us. If we wait too long, Vera will fall." A general leaned forward. "Then we must strike at the right place, at the right time. One strike powerful enough to shake the galaxy." Another leader frowned. "But the galaxy does not trust us. They think we are weak. If we reveal our true power, we will become their next enemy." Silence hung in the chamber. Then a woman, her voice calm but strong, said, "Let them see the truth. We do not fight for glory. We fight for survival. And if the galaxy fears us, so be it." Far away, in a training ground, soldiers prepared in silence. Their armor was light but strong, their weapons humming with new technology. They did not speak of fear, they spoke of duty. One soldier adjusted his rifle and whispered to his comrade, "Do you think the others will ever thank us?" The comrade gave a short laugh. "No, they will curse us. They will call us dangerous. But when the fire comes, they will hide behind us. Then why fight for them?" The soldier looked at the stars, his eyes steady. "Because someone has to." The days passed like shadows moving across the earth. Ships were tested, weapons calibrated, fleets organized. Yet all was done in silence. Not a word left the planet. But whispers began to spread across the galaxy. Alien spies reported strange movements. Hidden satellites captured glimpses of massive objects rising from Earth's seas. In a council hall on a distant world, alien leaders laughed when the reports were shared. Humans building warships? Impossible. They cannot even hold a single sector of space. They are ants trying to fight giants, but one elder alien shook his head. His voice trembled. "Do not underestimate them. Humans are not like us. They do not wait for permission. They do not bow to stronger powers. When they decide to fight, they fight to the end." Back on Earth, in the heart of a secret bunker, the generals gathered one final time. The room was quiet, only the sound of the map's soft glow filling the silence. The Supreme Commander stood. His voice was steady, yet carried a weight that filled the air. "The galaxy thinks we are weak. They think we will hide, that we will wait for our own destruction, but they are wrong. We will not wait, we will not hide, we will strike. A young officer raised his hand. Sir, with respect, if we reveal our strength now, the galaxy will know what we can do. They may turn against us after this war. The commander's eyes narrowed. Then let them try. If the heavens themselves rise against humanity, we will tear the heavens apart. The words hung in the air like thunder. Outside, the fleets prepared for departure. Gigantic ships, their hulls dark as night, began to hum with power. Their engines glowed with light never seen before, bending space itself around them. In one ship's hangar, a pilot climbed into his fighter. He touched the controls gently, as if greeting an old friend. His wingmate spoke over the comms. This is madness, isn't it? We're going to war against gods. The pilot smiled faintly. Maybe, but gods can bleed, and if they bleed, they can fall. As the first ships lifted silently into orbit, the people of Earth looked up at the night sky. They saw no fireworks, no parades, only dark shadows rising quietly toward the stars. In the command chamber, the final order was given. Begin the silent march. No broadcasts, no warnings. We move unseen. And so humanity's fleets slipped into the void, silent as hunters in the dark. The galaxy still believed Earth was weak. The enemy still laughed, believing no force could stop them. But the silence of Earth was not weakness. It was preparation. For deep in the dark, humanity had forged weapons not to explore the stars, but to reshape them. And soon the heavens would tremble. The enemy fleets spread across the stars like a black storm. Planet after planet fell under their crushing fire. Their commanders laughed at the cries of the weak. For them, it was not war. It was slaughter. In one system, the invaders circled, a small moon. Below them, the survivors hid in caves, their voices trembling in the dark. Why does no one help us? A mother whispered, holding her child close. Because no one dares, an old man replied. His voice broke. We are forgotten. The sky above thundered with enemy ships preparing their final strike. The commander of the fleet, his 4 glowing eyes burning with pride, ordered, End this moon, burn it to dust. Let the galaxy know. Resistance is useless. But just as the weapons began to charge, strange signals appeared on their scanners. At first, the enemy officers ignored them. Small distortions in space, weak energy spikes. Just noise, one sneered. Then the distortions grew. The commander frowned. Report. Unidentified signatures, sir, an officer stammered. They're coming out of the void. The fabric of space twisted. Lights rippled across the black sky. Suddenly, massive shapes emerged. Dark ships, their hulls black as shadows, their engines glowing with a pale blue light. The officer gasped. Humans! It's humans! The commander laughed. So the insects crawl into the fire, crush them. But as the enemy ships moved to attack, the humans struck first. A single human battleship, smaller than the alien giants, fired. The shot was silent at first, a lance of light ripping through the void. When it struck an enemy cruiser the size of a city, split apart like glass, the alien bridge shook with shock. What weapon is this? An officer shouted. The human fleet advanced, weapons blazing. Railguns fired projectiles faster than light itself, tearing holes in massive enemy vessels. Energy storms danced from ship to ship, burning through shields. As if they were paper. On one human ship, the captain stood tall. Do not stop, hit them harder, show them the cost of underestimating us. A young officer hesitated. Captain, their numbers, there are too many. The captain's eyes burned with fire. Then we fight until none remain. If we fall, they will remember how we fell. Back in the caves of the moon, the survivors heard the sky roar. Explosions painted the heavens with fire. Children gasped as they saw giant alien ships break apart under human strikes. Who are they? The mother whispered. The old man's eyes filled with tears. Hope, They are hope, but the battle was not easy. The enemy armada responded with fury. Hundreds of warships turned their fire on the humans. Beams of light slashed across the void, tearing into human hulls. Ships shook and burned. On one human cruiser, alarms screamed. The pilot shouted, "We've lost engines! We're drifting!" Another voice came through the comms. "Hold position, we'll cover you." A small human corvette dived between the cruiser and the enemy fire. It exploded in a blaze of light, shielding its comrades with its sacrifice. The enemy commander snarled. "They throw their lives away, fools." But deep inside, a seed of fear grew. These humans did not fight like others. They did not retreat. They did not surrender. They fought as if death itself was their ally. One alien officer whispered, "Sir, they are mad. They would destroy everything rather than bow." The commander growled, "Then break them before their madness spreads." The battle raged on. Human ships, though fewer, struck with precision and fury. Wormholes collapsed under their attacks, cutting enemy reinforcements. Gravity itself bent as human weapons tore open the fabric of space, pulling enemy vessels into burning voids. On the bridge of a human flagship, the admiral spoke quietly into the comms. "This is Earth to all units. Remember why you fight. Remember who you fight for." Across the fleet, voices answered, "For the helpless, for the forgotten, for humanity." Then came the moment that shook the stars. The humans fired a weapon, hidden until now, a massive railgun mounted on their flagship. It charged with a deep hum, space itself trembling around it. When it fired, a spear of pure energy tore through the enemy's command ship. The alien flagship, once thought invincible, split apart in a storm of fire. Silence fell across the enemy fleet. Their commander's last words echoed in the flames. "Impossible. They are only human." The surviving enemy ships broke formation, retreating into the void. On the surface of the moon, the survivors looked to the sky. Where once there had been only darkness, now the stars shone clear. A young child pointed upward. "They saved us." The mother held her close. "Yes, the humans saved us." But on the human flagship, the admiral did not smile. He looked at the wreckage of his own fleet. Dozens of ships were gone, thousands of lives lost. One officer whispered, "Sir, it's a victory." The admiral's voice was heavy. "No, it's only the beginning. They will return with greater force, and next time, the whole galaxy will be watching." Far away in the grand councils of alien races, silence filled the halls. The impossible had happened. Humans had defeated the Armada's first strike. One alien leader whispered in fear, "If they can do this with so little, what will they unleash when the heavens themselves rise against them?" The answer, none dared to speak aloud, for the galaxy had just learned a terrible truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was the storm that would tear the heavens apart. The galaxy was no longer silent. Whispers spread from world to world, carrying the same impossible tale. Humans had struck the enemy and won. But the victory was not clean. The human fleets carried heavy scars. Entire squadrons had been lost. Thousands of soldiers never returned. And yet, even in loss, their fire only burned brighter. In a command chamber deep in Earth's orbit, the admiral stood before a holographic map. Red markers filled the screen, enemy fleets spreading like wildfire across sectors. A young officer spoke in a worried tone. "Sir, they're regrouping. Reports say millions of their warships are on the move. Their armada is endless." The admiral's eyes were cold. "Endless or not, they will bleed." Another commander frowned. "But if they come with full strength, we cannot stand against them. We must retreat, regroup, build more fleets." The admiral shook his head. His voice was steel. "Retreat is death. Every world they reach will burn. Every voice that called for help will be silenced. No, we fight here. We fight now. The room fell into heavy silence. Finally, one soldier whispered, "Then we fight until nothing is left." The Admiral's answer was quiet but certain. Until nothing is left. Far away, in a captured system, the enemy gathered. Their commanders snarled with rage at their earlier defeat. "They dare to strike us. These humans," one roared, his claws tearing into the metal floor. "They are insects, but insects that bite," another hissed. "We will crush them so completely that no race will ever rise again." The supreme overlord of the enemy, a towering being with a body like molten iron, stood from his throne. His voice shook the hall. "Then bring me their ashes. Burn their fleets, burn their world, burn everything." When the two forces met again, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. Human fleets moved in silence, dark ships emerging from hidden wormholes. They did not roar with pride. They came like shadows, silent and steady, their weapons primed. On the bridge of a human warship, a captain gave the order. "Form the line. We strike together." Her officer hesitated. "Captain, their numbers. They outnumber us 10-1. The captain's jaw tightened. "Then we give them 10 times the fear." The battle began with a scream of light. Enemy ships hurled beams across the void, tearing through human shields. Explosions bloomed like dying stars. But humanity did not flinch. A squadron of human destroyers plunged straight into the enemy formation, ignoring the fire tearing at their hulls. One pilot shouted over comms, "For Earth! For the fallen!" and rammed his burning ship into an enemy carrier. The explosion tore the alien vessel apart, taking hundreds of their fighters with it. On another front, human scientists unleashed a weapon the galaxy had never seen. Gravity itself bent, dragging enemy cruisers into collapsing wormholes. Entire wings of ships vanished into screaming voids. The alien commander snarled, "Madness! They are tearing space itself apart!" Frightened officer whispered, "Sir, they would rather destroy the stars than lose." The commander slammed his fist down. "Then let them burn with us." The battlefield became chaos. Human fleets bled, but every loss came with a price. A fallen battleship would detonate its core, dragging dozens of enemy ships with it. A single fighter would dive into the heart of a cruiser, exploding in light. On the bridge of the flagship, the admiral watched grimly. His officer cried out, "Sir, we've lost half our forces already." The admiral's voice was quiet. "And they have lost more. That is how we win." Another officer shook his head. "At this cost. Sir, soon there will be nothing left of us." The admiral turned, his eyes fierce. "Better nothing left than chains around our necks." On a distant colony, billions watched the battle through scattered transmissions. They saw human ships burning, human soldiers sacrificing, but they also saw the impossible, the invincible armada breaking under the fury of a race the galaxy once mocked. A young alien child asked his father, "Why do they fight so hard?" "They do not even know us," the father's voice trembled, "because they believe no one should be left to die alone." The battle raged on. Hours felt like days. The void was filled with wreckage, burning ships, shattered fleets. Finally, the enemy's commander screamed in frustration, "Pull back! Pull back now!" The order spread. The once proud armada began to retreat, but humanity did not chase. Their ships floated in silence, battered, broken, yet still standing. On the flagship, the admiral's hands shook slightly as he gripped the console. "Status: thousands lost, sir." "But—" The officer hesitated, then smiled weakly. "We won. They ran." The admiral closed his eyes. His voice was heavy. "This is not victory. This is survival." He looked at the shattered field of stars. "They will return, stronger. And when they do, the galaxy will finally see what we truly are." Back on Earth, the news spread like fire. The galaxy, once laughing, now watched in fear and awe. Some races began to whisper of alliance, others muttered of danger, but all understood one truth. The humans had unleashed their wrath, and nothing in the heavens would ever be the same again. The galaxy trembled. Humanity's wrath had shattered the enemy armada, but the cost was high. Human fleets were broken, thousands of soldiers gone, and yet they stood. The impossible had happened. The invincible were made to retreat. But no, one believed it was the end. In the dark halls of the enemy stronghold, their supreme overlord roared in fury. His molten body cracked with fire as he slammed his claws against the floor. They dare humiliate us. They dare defy the eternal empire. One of his generals bowed low, trembling. Great One, the humans fight with madness. They destroy even themselves to win. If we are not careful, they may— Silence, the overlord thundered. His burning eyes glared down. Then we will bring the full weight of our empire. No mercy, no survivors. I will crush their world myself. The chamber shook with his words. The enemy prepared their largest fleet, a force so massive it blotted out the stars. This would not be a battle. It would be annihilation. On Earth, the leaders watched the incoming storm. The map glowed red, every system around them flooding with enemy ships. A general spoke in a heavy voice. This is the end. We cannot fight this many. Even if we burn every ship we have, it won't be enough. The admiral stood silent for a long moment. His eyes were fixed on the map, unblinking. Then he spoke, his voice calm but cold. There is one option left. The room fell silent. A scientist stepped forward, pale and hesitant. You cannot mean the rift cannon. Murmurs spread. Officers shifted uncomfortably. The admiral nodded. It is untested, yes, but it may be our only chance. The scientist shook his head. It is more than untested. If we use it, the weapon could tear open space itself. It could destroy not only them, but us as well. It could break the galaxy. The admiral's voice was steel. Then it will break with us standing, not kneeling. A younger officer whispered, Sir, if we unleash this weapon, the galaxy will never forgive us. They already fear us. This will make us monsters. The admiral turned his gaze on the officer. Better a monster that saves billions than a ghost that saved none. The decision was made. As the enemy fleet advanced, humanity prepared its greatest gamble. In orbit above a barren world, engineers worked in silence. A colossal weapon, larger than any ship, stretched across the void. Its black surface shimmered with strange light. The rift cannon. It was not built to wound, it was built to shatter. On the ground below, soldiers prepared for what might be their final battle. One soldier adjusted his rifle with shaking hands. His comrade tried to smile. Nervous. Terrified, he admitted. Good, the other said softly. That means you're still alive. Above them, fleets formed into position. Broken, battered ships stood ready once more, their crews silent but determined. When the enemy fleet arrived, the stars disappeared. Their ships stretched beyond sight, millions strong. At the heart of the fleet, the Overlord's massive flagship glowed like a burning sun. On the bridge of his warship, the Overlord sneered. Humans, fragile, foolish humans. I will burn your world, and your name will vanish from history. Back. On the human flagship, the admiral stood tall. His voice echoed across every ship in the fleet. This is it. We are outnumbered. We are outgunned, but we are not out of will. Remember why you fight. Not for Earth alone, not for humanity alone, but for every world that cannot stand today. We fight for them. A chorus of voices answered across the comms. For them, for all. The battle began. The sky lit with fire as millions of beams slashed. Across the void, human ships dived into the storm, firing with ruthless precision. Entire wings of enemy fighters fell, but still the swarm pressed forward. On one human ship, alarms screamed, "Shields gone! Engines failing!" The captain gave a grim smile. "Then let's take some of them with us." Her ship plunged into an enemy dreadnought, exploding in a blinding flare. The void shook, but for every enemy lost, 10 more advanced. The human fleet was drowning in fire. On the flagship, an officer cried out, "Sir, they'll break through in minutes." The admiral's eyes flickered to the giant weapon floating in orbit. "Then it is time. Power the rift cannon." The order spread. Deep within the weapon, energy built, space itself trembling. Lights flickered. The void began to ripple. On the enemy bridge, panic spread as scanners detected the impossible. "My lord, they're activating something. Space is collapsing." The overlord snarled, "No weapon can stand against me." But fear touched even his fiery gaze. On the human flagship, the scientist gave one last warning. "Admiral, if this fails, if it collapses too far, there will be nothing left. No stars, no worlds, nothing." The admiral placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we make sure it does not fail. Fire!" The rift cannon unleashed its wrath. The void split apart with a scream of light. A rift tore open across the battlefield, pulling entire fleets into its burning maw. Enemy warships, once unstoppable, were dragged like insects into the collapsing abyss. The overlord's flagship shook violently. His roaring voice echoed, "No! This cannot be!" Human ships pulled back desperately, their hulls groaning under the force. Some were swallowed, vanishing forever, but others held on, engines burning as they fought against the pull. In the chaos, the enemy armada broke. Their endless numbers meant nothing against the fury of space itself. One by one, they fell, until silence spread across the void. When the light faded, the battlefield was a graveyard. Wreckage drifted everywhere. Human fleets floated in silence, half destroyed, but alive. On the flagship, the officer whispered, "It worked. They're gone." The admiral's voice was heavy. At a cost. The scientist stared at the stars, fear in his eyes. "We nearly destroyed everything. If that weapon grows unstable, it could still happen." The admiral nodded slowly. "Then we guard it. For now, it is our shield, but one day it may be our curse." Across the galaxy, the message spread. The Empire had been broken. The humans had turned the tide. For the first time, alien worlds cheered their name, even those who once mocked them. Yet others whispered in fear, "If they can tear the heavens apart to win, what will they do when they no longer need us?" And so the galaxy held its breath. For humanity had reached the turning point, and nothing would ever be the same again. The battlefield was silent now. Stars flickered weakly over the graveyard of shattered ships. Human vessels drifted among the wreckage, broken but still alive. For the first time, the Empire had been defeated. On the human flagship, the crew sat in stunned silence. Screens flickered with smoke. Sparks rained from broken wires. No one cheered. No one spoke. The admiral stood tall, though his uniform was torn and his face darkened with soot. His eyes scanned the chaos outside. "Report," he said quietly. An officer's voice trembled. "Sir, we lost more than half the fleet, thousands dead, many more missing, but we held." Another whispered, almost in disbelief. "The Empire is gone." A heavy silence followed, broken only by the hum of failing engines. Finally, the admiral spoke. His voice was steady but filled with sorrow. "No, not gone, not yet. Their leader still breathes." Far away, deep in the wreckage, the Overlord's flagship burned. Fires raged through the corridors. His soldiers fled, screaming in panic, but he did not fall. His molten body dragged itself through the flames, eyes burning with hate. "Humans," he growled. "You think this is victory? I will end your world myself." His flagship turned toward Earth, engines roaring like thunder. On the human flagship, alarm screamed again. "Sir," an officer shouted, "the enemy leader's ship is moving. It's heading straight for Earth." Gasps filled the bridge. The scientist's face turned pale. If he reaches the planet, even in his state, he could burn it to ash. The admiral clenched his jaw. "Then we stop him here, no matter the cost." A group of pilots volunteered. At once, one, a young woman with tired eyes, saluted. "Sir, give us the chance. We'll cut him down before he reaches Earth." The Admiral stared at her, then nodded slowly. "Very well. Go. Humanity owes you everything." The pilots launched into the dark, their battered fighters streaking toward the Overlord's massive ship. The Overlord laughed when he saw them coming. His voice thundered across the comms. "Insects, you dare challenge me!" The young pilot responded with steel in her voice. "We don't dare! We choose!" They swarmed him, their weapons slamming against his ship, tearing chunks of molten armor. But the Overlord's power was too great. One by one, human fighters exploded in bursts of light. Inside the flagship, the Admiral's fists tightened as he watched the sacrifices. "They're giving everything," he whispered. The scientist spoke urgently. "Sir, the rift cannon, if we fire it again, directly at his ship, it might finish him." The Admiral's eyes darkened. "And if it breaks space again?" The scientist's voice shook. "Then everything ends." The bridge went silent. Every officer turned toward him, waiting. At last, the Admiral spoke. "Then we end him before he ends us. Prepare the weapon." The rift cannon began to glow again, its unstable light shaking the stars. Space itself rippled with violent energy. The Overlord roared as he felt it. "You would risk the galaxy to destroy me? Then you are more like us than you know." The Admiral gave the order. "Fire!" The rift cannon unleashed its fury once more. A beam of burning light tore through the void, striking the Overlord's ship. His flagship cracked and screamed, molten metal breaking apart. But before he fell, the Overlord's image appeared across every human screen. His fiery face sneered. "This is not victory. This is the seed of your end. You humans have shown the galaxy what you are capable of, and they will never forgive you." With a final roar, his body disintegrated into flame, swallowed by the rift. His ship collapsed into nothingness. The battle was truly over. On the flagship, the crew erupted in exhausted cries. Some wept, others laughed through tears. But the Admiral stood silent, staring at the stars. The scientist approached him. "It's finished," he said softly. The Admiral shook his head. "No, it's only beginning." He was right. "The galaxy has seen what we can do. They will fear us now. Some will bow to us. Others will try to destroy us. Either way, humanity will never know peace again." The scientist lowered his gaze. "Then what do we do?" The Admiral finally turned, his eyes hard. "We do what humans always do. We endure, and when the time comes, we fight." Weeks later, across the galaxy, the news spread. The Empire had fallen. Their armies were gone. Worlds that once trembled now celebrated. For the first time in centuries, they were free, but whispers spread as well. In shadowed chambers, alien leaders spoke in fearful tones. They destroyed the Empire with a single weapon. They nearly broke the galaxy to win. They are dangerous. Some swore loyalty to humanity, hoping to stand beside their new saviors. Others plotted in silence, vowing to stop them before they grew even stronger. And among the stars, broken fleets drifted, survivors of the Empire's war machine. They swore vengeance, waiting for the day they could rise again. Back on Earth, the people buried their dead. Streets once filled with fear were now filled with mourning songs. Families wept for the soldiers who would never return. In the Admiral's quarters, he stood alone at the window, staring at the night sky. The young pilot's face haunted him, the one who spoke with courage, the one who never came back. The scientist entered quietly. "You did what had to be done." The Admiral did not turn. "I ordered them to their deaths. I gambled the galaxy. Tell me, was it worth it?" The scientist's eyes held sorrow, but also respect. "Ask the billions who now breathe free. They will tell you it was." For a long moment the Admiral said nothing. Then finally he whispered, "Victory at a cost." And so the war ended not with cheers, but with silence. Humanity had torn the heavens apart to save them all. But in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever. Some saw them as saviors, others as monsters, and in the quiet that followed, the galaxy waited, watched, wondered, because everyone knew one truth: the humans were no longer just survivors. They were the storm,